Oh boy. I'm excited. What is up, YouTube? A big hearty welcome to all you guys out there. I'm the Midnight Chronicler, and today's video is super meaningful to me, and it's one that I've been waiting to make for the last year and a half since I started reading again. And actually, since this channel started in April, I've been waiting to make this video, and that is my very first, oh my gosh, it's finally time. My very first top 5 fantasy books that I've read so far. This list will be, admittedly, it's kind of a noob's list. Okay, guys, so I'm going to say that right off the top. I'm very new to fantasy. There are a ton of books I've yet to read, so if your favorite series is not on here, don't be offended. I might just not have gotten to it yet. But I certainly plan to, and I need all the suggestions I can get, guys, because, man, the fantasy genre has been my favorite to read so far, if I'm being honest. If you're a fan of the channel, you know that Goosebumps has been a big part of it, and I definitely love Goosebumps, but I really have been waiting and wanting to talk about fantasy books for a long time because there's so much cool stuff, so much good stuff to get to. I'm not going to waste any more time or breath, guys. Let's get into the Midnight Chronicler's very first top 5. It feels good to say that. Fantasy books so far. Here's how it's going to go, guys. I will start with number 5, obviously, work my way down to number 1, and for each book, I'll give a short blurb what I feel about it, but I will start off the top with what the first phrase that comes to mind when I think of these books. So here we go. Number 5, guys, we are starting the list off with a little bit of a sci-fi fantasy book, but still, this is Red Rising. This is book number 1 of the Red Rising saga. This is by Pierce Brown. The first words that come to my mind whenever I think about this book, I would say revenge story, brutal, roller coaster, surprisingly emotional. Also, by the way, guys, the cover designs for these books are so minimal and gorgeous. I just love them. Golden Sun, the next book in the series, again, very minimal so far, minimalist, but in a very nice and clean way. And then finally you have Morning Star, which is book 3, but you have, red, gold, blue, very cool looking covers and very cool style for these books. But what really matters is the story inside. And what we have here is the story of a young man trying to basically insurrect an upper class of highly technological, highly hateable humans. The first person perspective of the story really stands out to me as well. It's actually really hard to describe until you read it, but for me, damn near all the chapters flew by. That feeling you get when a book is pulling you at breakneck speed and doesn't let you rip your eyes off the words, that's Red Rising, an unrelenting thrill ride that ended a little bit too fast for me. Alright guys, number 4, we are moving quickly here, but that's alright. I can't wait to talk about this next book either, and that is The Way of Kings. This is Brandon Sanderson's magnum opus series. This is the Stormlight Archive. It's book 1. First words or phrases that come to my mind thinking about this book is the most creative / imaginative world I've ever read in a book. Absolutely alive with ideas, fun. I'm honestly envious of Brandon Sanderson's imagination. In this world, we follow a warrior turned slave with incredible abilities and a fluttery, fun, and adorable blue sidekick that is kind of reminiscent of the sidekick that Link has in the Zelda games. Pretty neat. But this one has a little bit more of a personality and less annoying, I promise you. Also, all of the warriors in this book are dressed up like souped up Iron Men, Power Ranger looking guys. And we also have one of the most fascinating and sympathetic antagonists I've read so far. The world is alive, it's unique, and it is a blast to read. There's some sections that are pretty slow, and I actually can't wait to bring out a full dedicated review for this book. I have a lot of thoughts on it. It is just a blast to read, and I cannot wait to get to book 2, which I hear is even better. Number 3 on my list, guys, is actually a book that's not the first in the series. That's a little bit of a differentiator here. This is going to be the Dragon Reborn. This is actually book 3 of the Wheel of Time, which I'm also kind of in the middle of a lot of these series, actually, guys. But words that come to my mind whenever I think about this book: old friends, meeting old friends again. Possibly fantasy's most epic weapon, and as you guys can see there, Kalendor actually takes center stage on this cover. Pretty cool, set the stage up well for this book. Also, one set of characters that you follow in this book are fascinating. A duo, a specific duo, and if you guys read the book, you probably know who I'm referring to, but it was a blast to read these two characters together. You kind of had like a snarky younger guy who is, you know, sort of full of himself with an older snarky guy that's also full of himself. It was a funny, hilarious dynamic, and they made a great duo. Just love reading about these two. The Dragon Reborn, so far, guys, is actually my favorite Wheel of Time book. And the series as a whole is very special to me because, well, we probably wouldn't be talking right now if it wasn't for this series. This got me back into reading, so I owe this series a lot. I definitely owe it to finish it, hopefully someday. Although, if you guys know about the series, it is, what, 13, 14 books. It's quite a chunky series, and it's taken me a while. I actually had to take a break and read a couple other things to kind of clean my palate a little bit. If you are new to the fantasy genre, I could not recommend The World of the Wheel of Time enough. It is something that you truly can get lost in and spend a very, very long time reading these books and falling in love with the characters. You know, nothing else to really say. Go get these books and go get whisked away. Okay, guys, number 2 in my list might be a little bit of a surprise, actually. This is actually book 2 in this series. The series is not finished yet, but I am a huge, huge fan, and surprisingly so, of The Wise Man's Fear. This is book number 2 in the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. Things that come to mind about this book: surprisingly hilarious at times, clever, satisfying, and it scratches that Harry Potter itch. If you guys have such a feeling, that might be something you want to get checked out. But no, I'm kidding. I would also say if snuggling in a warm blanket and drinking hot cocoa was a book, that's kind of what it feels like to read The Wise Man's Fear. And especially The Name of the Wind also. Both those books carry the same kind of beautiful prose, very kind of flowery, flowing words and sentences and paragraphs that just kind of get you lost in these pages of these books. Patrick Rothfuss is just a wizard, no pun intended, with his words, and, you know, super satisfying and very cool to read. It's a good sit back and chill for an evening fantasy read. You follow a mysterious innkeeper who tells the tale of his crazy college years to a curious chronicler, a man there named Chronicler. Kind of familiar if you guys are, if you're watching this video, but there is a guy that is chronicling basically his story, writing his story down for the history books. And you're basically following this magical musician's, like I said, his crazy college years, about his life tragedies, his love, his revenge, the magic and friends that he makes along the way. It's all there for a comforting thrill ride, basically. Comfort. This book is just comfortable in the best way. I love it. Number 1. Guys, if you've been on my channel much, you probably are not surprised by this. It is my book of the year so far for 2023. I cannot wait to read the sequel. This is book 1 of the Gentleman Bastard series, and that is, of course, the incomparable Lies of Locke Lamora. Guys, words to describe this masterpiece. A couple come to mind, but specifically Brotherhood. Characters that I instantly loved, surprising you at every turn, no boring chapters, at least in my opinion, pirates, heists, revenge, friendship, sacrifice. It's all there. The first thing that I'll say about the Lies of Locke Lamora may be the most surprising, and that is that I was not going to read this book. I basically had a lull in my reading, and I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. And my curiosity was rewarded tenfold, guys. This book is, again, I like humor, I guess. This book is really funny, actually, at times, too. The relationship between the thieves, their mentor, their younger brother kind of character, who would literally die to prove himself. I found myself feeling like I was the sixth member of this band of brothers, and Locke himself, the title character, is a courageous and excellent lead character, whose wit and leadership is just a joy to read. Guys, the best part of all this is I truly love every series I've stated so far here, and I cannot wait to read further into them and revisit this list, maybe hopefully with a top 10 in maybe another year or so, just to give you guys an updated feel on my opinion of them, maybe how they've changed, maybe something interesting has happened in terms of that. But hopefully you guys, whether you're new to fantasy, you're curious about the fantasy genre, do yourself a favor, do me a favor so we can talk about it. Go and read some of these books, guys, or find a series that maybe interests you that I haven't even talked about here. You owe it to yourself. Go read some of these series. They are fantastic. But hopefully you guys found this video interesting. I know that I had a heck of a time putting this together, and I really could not wait to talk about this with you guys. And it feels special. It feels good to cap off 2023, a year that I started this YouTube channel back in April. It's been fun to make videos as I can, to see it grow. I need you guys to let me know what else I need to check out. What else everyone in the comments should check out. Let's get the discussion rolling, guys. Cannot thank you enough for being here. Please like and subscribe, guys. Feel free to watch some more of my videos on the channel. So much more to come. And just, yeah, I got no words. Read on. Anyone's grandma have one of these things?